8 subtle signs an elderly person may be in their final year. Care with love and dignity. Subtle body signals. Hello my friends, it's good to have you here on Meaningful Living. This is a place where we talk about aging with grace, wisdom, and practicality. If you're like me, you've spent a lifetime taking care of a home, making sure everything has its place and keeping things in order. But as we get older, we start noticing changes. Not just in our homes, but in our bodies, our energy, and even the people we love. Have you noticed a loved one slowing down, losing interest in things they once loved, or changing in ways you can't quite explain? It's easy to dismiss these shifts as just getting older. But sometimes, they mean something more. The truth is, the body often gives us quiet warnings, subtle signs that life is entering a new, special season. These changes happen gradually, and by the time we recognize them, we may wish we had seen them sooner. That's why in today's video, we're talking about 8 important signs that may indicate an elderly person is in their final year. This isn't meant to alarm you, it's meant to prepare you so you can offer care, love, and dignity in their most precious moments. Stay with me until the end, because recognizing these signs can change the way you support your loved one in this stage of life. And if you find this content valuable, please subscribe to Meaningful Living and hit the bell icon so we can walk this journey together with knowledge, compassion, and understanding. Now, let's begin. Unexplained weight loss, a gentle farewell from the body. Have you noticed that your clothes don't fit the way they used to? Maybe your favorite sweater feels a little looser, or your wedding ring slips around your finger more than before. You might not have changed your eating habits, but somehow the weight seems to be disappearing. At first, it's easy to dismiss. After all, we all expect some changes as we get older. But when the pounds drop without trying, it's often the body's quiet way of telling us something important. As we age, our metabolism slows and our muscles naturally shrink. But sudden weight loss can mean something more. It might be that your body isn't absorbing nutrients the way it once did, or that your appetite just isn't what it used to be. Sometimes it's not just physical. Grief, loneliness, or even a simple loss of interest in food can make eating feel like a chore. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University have found that your sense of taste fades over time, making meals less enjoyable. Food that once brought comfort may now feel bland or unappealing, leading to eating less and, in turn, losing weight. Many of us, raised in a time when finishing everything on the plate was expected, might try to force ourselves to eat more. Family members may encourage bigger meals or introduce high-calorie shakes, thinking they're helping. But the truth is, when the body is naturally slowing down, eating more isn't always the answer. Instead of struggling with large meals, finding comfort in small portions of familiar foods can make a big difference. A warm bowl of soup, a soft piece of fruit, or even a cup of tea can be easier to enjoy than a full plate of food. If you've noticed yourself losing weight despite eating regularly, it may be time to pay attention. Weight loss, especially when paired with feeling more tired or weaker than usual, might not just be about diet. It could be a sign that your body is entering a new phase. This isn't something to fear, but something to acknowledge with care. The goal isn't to fight against it, but to adjust in a way that keeps you feeling comfortable and supported. Sitting down to eat with loved ones, enjoying familiar flavors, and making meals a time of connection rather than obligation can bring more comfort than any nutritional plan ever could. At this age, food isn't just about keeping weight on, it's about enjoying the moments that matter most. Deep, unshakable fatigue, when even rest isn't enough. Have you noticed that getting through the day feels harder than it used to? Maybe climbing the stairs leaves you winded, or simply getting out of bed in the morning feels like a task that requires more effort than it should. Even sitting at the dinner table for too long can feel exhausting, like your body is carrying an invisible weight. We all expect to slow down as we age. That's normal. But when fatigue becomes constant, when rest no longer brings relief, it's often a sign that the body is shifting into conservation mode. Energy that was once used for movement, conversation, or even digestion is now being redirected to keeping the most essential functions going. It's not just tiredness, it's a deep, unshakable exhaustion that doesn't go away with a nap. This happens because circulation slows, muscles receive less oxygen, and the body naturally starts prioritizing where its energy goes. It's why you may find yourself needing longer naps during the day or feeling too drained to do things that once felt effortless. It's why you might start a conversation full of thought, only to find yourself trailing off mid-sentence, unable to keep up with the flow of words. At first, it might feel frustrating. Maybe you tell yourself to push through it, to stay active, because that's what everyone always says is best. But when fatigue reaches this level, forcing yourself to keep going isn't the answer. The body isn't giving up, it's simply changing priorities. Some people may start withdrawing, not because they don't care, but because socializing takes more effort than it used to. Others may find themselves sleeping through the afternoon, not because they're lazy, but because the body is asking for more rest. If this sounds familiar, listen to what your body is telling you. There's no need to fight against it or feel guilty for needing more rest. Instead, adjust to the rhythm your body is setting. Allow yourself to nap when you need to. Spend more time in comfort, surrounded by the things and people that bring you peace. Conversations don't always need words. Sometimes, sitting quietly with a loved one can be more meaningful than anything spoken. If you've been feeling this kind of deep exhaustion, pay attention. It's not just a sign of aging, it's a gentle signal from your body that it's entering a slower phase. And in this phase, the best thing you can do is not push harder, but embrace the time you have with rest, warmth, and presence. Confusion and withdrawal. When the mind begins to drift. Have you ever found yourself forgetting why you walked into a room, or struggling to remember the name of an old friend, even though you can picture their face perfectly? A little forgetfulness happens to all of us as we age. But when memory lapses become more frequent, when the days start blending together, conversations feel harder to follow, or familiar places suddenly seem unfamiliar, it may be more than just aging. It may be your mind's way of letting go. Maybe you've noticed yourself staring out the window, lost in thought, unable to focus on what's happening around you. Maybe keeping up with conversations feels like trying to catch a moving train. Thoughts slip away before you can hold on to them. This isn't because you don't care, it's because the brain, like every part of the body, begins to slow down as it conserves its remaining energy. Science tells us that the brain needs oxygen and nutrients to function properly. But as circulation weakens, so does mental clarity. That's why it's common for people in their later years to experience moments of confusion, forgetting what day it is, losing track of time, or even repeating the same stories without realizing it. These aren't signs of carelessness or inattention, they're signals that the mind is shifting. This kind of withdrawal can be confusing for family and friends. They might wonder why you don't seem as engaged in conversation, why you sit quietly instead of joining in like you used to. But the truth is, socializing takes energy that at this stage the body may not always have to spare. Some days you might feel fully present, sharp as ever. Other days, you might find yourself drifting, as if your mind is somewhere else entirely. These moments of extraordinary clarity, when everything feels just as it once was, are gifts to be cherished, reminders that you're still here, still yourself, even as the world around you seems to move faster than before. If you find yourself in this place, don't fight it. Instead of trying to force yourself back into old routines, embrace the quiet moments. Let conversations be gentle, allow your thoughts to wander. If you're with someone who's experiencing the shift, don't correct them when they forget a name or a detail. Just be present. Hold their hand, speak softly. Remind them and yourself that love doesn't fade, even when memories do. Frequent infections and slow healing, a body that's letting go. Have you noticed that small cuts take longer to heal than they used to? Or that a simple cold lingers for weeks instead of days? Maybe infections come more frequently, one after another, leaving you feeling weaker each time. These are signs that the body's natural defenses, once strong and resilient, are starting to fade. The immune system acts as a shield, fighting off illness and repairing damage. But as the body enters its later stages, this shield weakens. What used to be minor, a scrape, a cough, a bruise, now takes longer to recover from. You might find yourself catching colds more often, struggling with urinary tract infections, or even feeling run down without knowing why. The body is no longer able to fight off bacteria and viruses the way it once did. What makes this even harder is that infections in older adults don't always show up the way we expect. You might think a fever or a sore throat would be the first sign of illness, but in the elderly, it's often something much more subtle. Maybe you feel more tired than usual, more confused, or just don't have an appetite. These small shifts can be easy to overlook, but they often mean the body is struggling to fight something off. At this stage, many families try to fight back. More antibiotics, more treatments, more hospital visits. But when the body is naturally slowing down, endless medical interventions don't always bring comfort, they can bring more exhaustion. Instead of focusing on fixing every infection, sometimes the best thing you can do is focus on comfort. Staying hydrated, keeping the skin clean and moisturized, and ensuring a calm, stress-free environment can do more than any prescription. There comes a point where the greatest act of love isn't trying to fix things, it's simply being there. Holding a hand, offering a sip of water, sitting quietly in the same room. When the body is letting go, what matters most isn't medicine, it's peace, dignity, and the reassurance that no one is facing this journey alone. Changes in breathing and circulation, nature's final whisper. Have you ever noticed your breath when you're resting? How it moves in and out, steady and effortless. Now imagine that rhythm changing, pauses between breaths, shorter inhales, or moments where it seems like the air just isn't coming as easily as before. If this has been happening to you or someone you love, it may be the body's quiet way of saying it's slowing down. One of the most noticeable signs that the body is preparing for its final stage is a shift in breathing patterns. Some people experience what's known as Cheyne-Stokes respiration, deep breaths followed by moments of stillness, almost as if the body is taking small pauses in between. Others may develop shallow breathing, or even a short conversation feels tiring. Circulation also changes. Maybe your hands and feet feel colder than usual, or your skin takes on a slightly bluish or pale tint. This happens because the heart, now working harder, begins prioritizing vital organs, sending less blood to the extremities. You may feel the need to rest more, sit up to breathe comfortably, or instinctively close your eyes for longer periods throughout the day. This could be unsettling to notice, both for yourself and for those around you. But at this stage, comfort is far more important than trying to change what is happening. A cool, quiet room, soft blankets, and even the gentle presence of a loved one can bring more peace than any medical intervention. If breathing feels strained, a humidifier, a fresh breeze from an open window, or even just a reassuring hand to hold can ease the discomfort. Even as words fade, love remains. Even when breath comes slower, the presence of those who care makes all the difference. In these moments, there is no need to fix or fight, only to be there in peace, in warmth, and understanding. Changes in personal hygiene, when daily tasks become too much. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, "I'll brush my hair later," only to realize later never comes? Maybe getting dressed feels like a bigger task than it used to, and the idea of taking a shower seems exhausting. If you found yourself skipping small daily routines, not out of choice, but because they just feel like too much effort, you're not alone. As the body slows down, simple tasks that once took only minutes, bathing, changing clothes, brushing teeth, start to feel overwhelming. The energy that used to go into these routines is now being used just to get through the day. This isn't laziness or neglect, it's a sign that the body is shifting priorities. For some, physical challenges make hygiene more difficult. Stiff joints, unsteady balance, or a fear of slipping in the shower can make bathing feel risky. For others, memory lapses mean they may forget how many days have passed since they last changed clothes or brushed their teeth. If no one points it out, it may go unnoticed. If you've noticed these changes in yourself or someone close to you, the solution isn't judgment, it's gentle support. Instead of feeling pressured to keep up with old routines, find easier alternatives. A warm sponge bath can be just as refreshing as a full shower. Sitting to brush your hair may be more manageable than standing in front of the mirror. Clothing that's comfortable and easy to put on can make getting dressed less of a chore. Sometimes, a little help goes a long way. A loved one offering a warm washcloth instead of insisting on a full bath, or laying out clean clothes without making a big deal out of it, can make all the difference. In the end, the goal isn't perfection, it's dignity and comfort. Taking care of yourself doesn't have to feel like an uphill battle. It just needs to feel manageable, gentle, and right for you. loss of interest in favorite activities, a retreat from the world. Have you ever found yourself staring at a book you once loved, only to realize you have no desire to turn the pages? Or maybe the garden that once brought you so much joy now feels like too much work. Even watching your favorite TV shows doesn't hold the same excitement it once did. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Losing interest in hobbies and activities isn't just a matter of preference. It's often a sign that the body and mind are shifting. As fatigue sets in and mental clarity fades, things that once felt enjoyable now feel like too much effort. You might start skipping a daily walk, then realize you haven't been outside in weeks. Maybe you used to love knitting, playing cards, or doing puzzles, but now the thought of focusing on them feels overwhelming. This change doesn't happen overnight. At first, you might do things less often, maybe telling yourself you'll get back to them soon. But as time goes on, you may find yourself slowly retreating, spending more time sitting quietly, observing rather than participating. Some people feel frustrated by this, wishing they could keep up with the things they once loved. Others simply let go, content to be still. For those around you, this can be difficult to watch. Family and friends may encourage you to stay engaged or try to push you back into activities, hoping it'll make you feel better. But at this stage, it's more important to follow your own rhythm than to force yourself into old routines. If you no longer feel like reading, that's okay. If the garden stays untouched, let it be. What matters isn't keeping up with past hobbies, but finding comfort in the small things that still bring you peace. Sitting in the sun, listening to soft music, or simply being near loved ones, these quiet moments hold just as much meaning as any activity ever did. Even if you don't feel like actively engaging, you can still feel the warmth of presence, the love of those around you, and in the end, that's what truly matters. Changes in speech and communication, when words begin to fade. Have you ever started a sentence, only to lose your train of thought halfway through? Maybe you know exactly what you want to say, but the words just won't come out the way they used to. Conversations that once flowed easily now take more effort, and sometimes it just feels easier to say nothing at all. As the body slows down, so does communication. You may find yourself speaking less, not because you don't want to, but because the effort feels too great. Sentences trail off, thoughts become harder to organize. Maybe you answer with simple nods instead of words, or you find comfort in just listening rather than responding. In the final weeks or days, words may fade altogether. Some people rely on gestures, a gentle squeeze of the hand, a slow blink, or the warmth of a smile to express themselves. It's not that feelings disappear, only that the way they're communicated begins to change. For family and friends, this shift can be painful. They may long for conversation, for the deep talks they once had, for one more story, one more shared laugh. But words aren't the only way to say, "I love you." Presence is just as powerful. There's no need to force conversation when silence feels more natural. Instead, offer comfort in other ways. Hold their hand, read a favorite poem, play a familiar song. Simply sitting together, feeling the quiet connection, can mean more than any words ever could. Even when voices grow softer and words fade away, love remains, and in the end, that's what speaks the loudest. A time to honor, not fear. Aging is a journey, and every stage has its own meaning. Now that you recognize these 8 signs, weight loss, deep fatigue, cognitive changes, frequent infections, shifts in breathing, struggles with hygiene, withdrawal from hobbies, and fading speech, you have a better understanding of what to expect. But this isn't about fear, it's about embracing life's natural transition with love, dignity, and peace. If you're facing this journey, know that you are not alone. The most powerful gift you can give is simply your presence. Cherishing the quiet moments, the gentle touch, the unspoken connection. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this video was helpful, please subscribe to Meaningful Living and join our community. Together, we can navigate this stage of life with wisdom and compassion. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.